Okay, ready for our next speaker. This is the Sustainable Malaria Elimination on Antietam Island, Vanuatu, 1991 to 2014, and Akira Kaneko.
Good morning. So sustainability is important for malaria elimination. Everybody agrees. I would like to discuss this subject from ASTMH Island in Vanuatu with my experience since 1991. Major milestone for the ASTMH project is the first MDA and malaria elimination and P-byvax resurgence, and the second MDA since 2002 and 2010 to up to present, malaria freedom and sustainable community engagement. Vanuatu archipelago is the edge of malaria distribution in the Pacific. So this is Buxton Line, and Buxton said, malaria occurs on all the inhabited islands except Futuna. And the only malaria island outside the area is ASTMH. And there are 68 islands and 120 language groups. So isolation and island condition provide us a good place for intervention study. This is a major island from north to south. And in the north part, higher malaria and higher GSPD deficiency than south. And especially the last three islands, GSPD deficiency is extremely low prevalence. And ASTMH is the southernmost island in Vanuatu. In 1991, 700 inhabitants. And both P. falciparum and P. vivax are endemic. And we like to test feasibility of malaria elimination on this island. So then strategy is mass drug administration for 9 weeks, impregnate bed nets for whole population, and set up surveillance, community microscopist, and re-impregnation of bed nets once a year, and larvae fish also. And MDA to cover the entire population on ASTMH just before the rainy season in 1991, and at that time we can use primaquine, chloroquine, and fansidar once a week for 9 weeks. And this 45 primaquine once a week for 9 weeks act against PF gametocytes and also PV hypnozoid eradication. And with high community engagement, we achieved quite high compliance, close to 90%. And then this is our own annual cross-sectional survey to cover the whole population in each time. So before MDA, a lot of P. falciparum and P. vivax malaria with seasonal fluctuation. Then during and after MDA, P. falciparum disappeared completely, except for some importation case. But P. vivax remained up to 1996. We thought these are relapse from liver stage. And then ASTMH intervention, and Malacca is a representative endemic island in north, and Futuna is no anopheles. So age-specific malaria prevalence in ASTMH before intervention is very similar to Malacca. But 7 years after intervention became similar to Futuna. So we previously reported malaria can be eliminated on isolated islands if there is a high degree of community participation. But post-malaria elimination issues continue. That is, how can malaria elimination be sustained in the long run? And what happens if malaria comes back in the context of the loss of acquired immunity? and what surveillance methodology is optimal. And there is a risk of malaria importation like this. And we set up surveillance by community microscopists on this island in 1993. So they responsible for active case detection for all arriving passengers and passive case detection for fever case in community. And this system is continuously maintained, well maintained up to now. And this is active case detection at the airport and PCD in community. And up to 1999, these data are not separately recorded. But you can see not many, but continuously some infection were imported to NHM, including P. falciparum. But in community, we can find only P. vivax. But as you see, in 2002, there was a resurgence. It's an unusual increase of P. vivax infection. So we conducted a cross-sectional survey on NHM during this resurgence. That is a decade after the initiation of malaria elimination in 1991. And at that time, in 2002, we identified 3 age groups based on previous malaria exposure before 1991. Children born after 1991, no exposure. And the teenagers, less than 10 years exposure. And adults, more than 10 years exposure. And as you can see, microscopic case mainly detected in children. But PCR cases are distributed more widely, but still less prevalent in adults. And then we also identify in the same population, in these adults, immune response to P. vivax parasite persistent. So then, yesterday we discussed primakin use in P. vivax eradication, but we did MDA actually on NHM in 2002 to contain the P. vivax resurgence, targeting the population under 20 years old, based on the microscopy results, with chloroquine and primakin daily 0.25 milligram for 14 days, together with high ITN provision. So we re-strengthen these ITN provisions. So that is with high community engagement. So then, primakin tablet is 7.5 milligram, very small tablets. But to do that, we need a quarter of tablets for small children. But it is manageable by cutting and well prepared. So then, we packed in a small plastic bag and administer the drugs one by one, directly observed manner. And also, daily monitoring and recording of adverse events. So then, this is a malaria metric survey from 2000 to 2013. Important thing is no P. falciparum infection was detected during this time up to now. So then, this is a resurgence at the time of resurgence. It's a lot of infections. So then, immediately after the second MDA, in December 2002, we could not detect any positive cases, even by PCR. But after that, we saw a huge microscopy and some PCR infection, P. vivax infection, up to 2007 again. So then 2010 and 2013, no infection, even by PCR. So we investigated age patterns of P. vivax prevalence on NHM. So this is at the time of resurgence, I already mentioned, infections are mainly detected children and teenagers. But after resurgence, this is 2003, 2004, and 2005, 2006, this population born after 2002, the known or least prevalent than other age groups. So these patterns suggesting these infections are not from transmission but from relapse in liver stages. So then, collaboration with Chris Drake, we look at changes in seroprevalence curves of IgG antibodies to P. falciparum in this scheme. So here we can use two infection force models. So population born after intervention and born before intervention. So we can see the changing point is shifting right and also decaying seroprevalence. So even no malaria, ITN, impregnated net, is still sustainably used in this community. So up to 2006, there was an annual re-impregnation BetNet program. But then LLIN is coming, and then this up is stopped. And February 2014, we check whole mosquito nets in this population. So now population is 1,199. And still 95% of people answered they slept under net last night. And among 1,259 nets, 61% is a new LLIN. But 39% is old nets. Probably without insecticide power. So there's a worry of chemical compliance is somehow decreased. But so sustainability of malaria elimination is depending on the risk of resurgence. So then it is not easy to complete malaria importation and also buyback relapse with existing tools. That's why continuous suppression of malaria transmission by ITN, that is quite important, I think. So then, now it's a Pacific Malaria Elimination Initiative is ongoing. AMBA is the representing country of malaria endemicity, and Tana is the main island in south. So we also longitudinally monitored this. So in AMBA, around 2002, quite high PF, PV, PM infections. And first PM disappeared, and PM disappeared, and PF disappeared, and only buybucks remained. And Tana is also, 2002 is quite high, and in this year, we could not find any positive case, even by PCR. So I like to sum up. So P. falciparum completely disappeared and has never come back up to the present after the MDA in 1991. And after the second MDA for a resurgence of P. vivax in 2002, submicroscopic parasitemia, probably relapsed from hypnozoids, continued up to 2007. Even after malaria ceased, the community has kept high threats with the belief of re-emerging disease and maintained commitment on surveillance and ITN use. And I would like to conclude, if there is a high degree of community engagement, malaria elimination may prove sustainable. And the power of community is the key of success. Acknowledgement. NHM community and the people, Vanuatu, Stockholm, and all molecular works in Osaka, and serology in London School. Thank you very much.
There, any questions? I see someone running to the mic. Great.
So thank you very much. It's a very impressive analysis. Are you also doing any entomological monitoring to track the vector population? Because we haven't heard about the mosquito.
Yes. So that is a missing data in this part. But we are thinking to using serology because we have a longitudinal serum sample, so that antibodies to mosquito saliva. That's we are thinking to use.
But, excuse me, what about collecting the mosquito?
No.
And what about adverse effects to the Primaquid?
Yes.
Just
so
quickly, though,
yes,
I shouldn't be asking.
around 10 people had a minor side effects like itching, vomiting, nausea, but no serious adverse effects like black urine. No.
Thank you.